Hello everyone, welcome to another UConn construction project update. My name is Luquette. I represent the Office of University Planning, Design, and Construction. Today we are on the new Rec Center project. October 7th, the last time we were on the project was in mid-July. We're going to begin by doing a full overview of the project, a flyover. We want to take a minute and thank our university colleague, Milton Levin, for his amazing drone footage. To start off, all of the grad dorms have been removed. All of the foundations of the grad dorms are now gone. All of the pavers, all of the walkways, all of the benches, they're all removed. Almost all the utilities are gone in this area, and we'll talk about the remaining two utilities a little bit later. Let's start with the Enabling Utilities project. Let's begin with our major connections to the tunnel. From the left to the right is the fire service, water service, steam and condensate, chill water supplied and return, electrical service, and controls. We're going to now travel from north to south. On the left-hand side is the new sanitary service next to the excavator. And in the center of the property, where the steam and condensate piping is located, is a staging area for prefabrication of the systems. As we travel to the south side of Wetton is our temporary steam service. We look into the dotted lot, left-hand side, the black paving indicates where our new telecommunications duct bank has been installed. Heading towards Hillside Road, we can see the test pits were dug earlier today to check materials under the retaining wall in preparation for the coordination of the next utilities that are in Hillside Road on the sidewalk. The new foundation comes pretty much close to the retaining wall that's there now. And we'll now take you through the individual utilities and their details. While we're here is to bring a new steam line into the Wetton. The existing steam line, and we showed on a previous video, actually from Wetton comes down, and this will eventually be the edge of the footing of the rec center. And this line is old and decrepit, needed to be replaced anyway. So I'll take a minute to explain the many steps that are required for a new steam service to be brought in. So in order to bring in a new steam service, the existing steam service had to be pulled out of the way to make room for the new service. What we did last weekend, we had a shutdown, and you're looking at a temporary hose steam line that's supplying steam to the building. And what this will do, it'll make an access way for the new steam line to be tied in, and then eventually we'll take this out. So we've removed this portion of the steam line previously, and you can see that we tied into it in this location here. We made a weld, put a valve on it, so the steam is actually being fed and allows us to run the new service into the Wetton building. Another new utility that was installed this week was the sanitary line. The sanitary line is buried, and during the process of construction they close and cap the end of it. They put a stick so the next time they excavate they can find it. You see the multiple layers of soils that go in over the top. Compacting tool right here. The testing lab is in sight, and you can see the excavator is at the structure right in there. And anytime sanitary line changes direction, it's done inside of the structure. That's the existing structure, and this will be the new sanitary line for the rec center. We're walking towards the School of Business and the existing utility tunnel, and this is where our major utilities have tied in to the tunnel. And the tunnel is much deeper than the existing grade here, so these utilities will run first. This is an electrical manhole that you see here, and a control manhole next to that. This is the chilled water supply and return that are coming up, and this is the new steam and condensate lines. The steam is the larger line, the condensate is the smaller line. We'll take a look down in here and check the penetrations as they go in. So the link seals have been installed on the chill water. The waterproofing back to the foundation has been installed. And the steam and condensate line, they're in the process. There's a block anchor that has to be installed, which will come in next week. But you can see they have sealed the penetrations on their way in through here. So this is a deeper section, and this section will be tested separately. You can see these are test headers that are right on the edge here. And then this whole system will be tested once the whole pipeline is installed. We'll take a minute to explain the construction that we use on campus for our water service. So this is a new 12-inch line. It's what we call 100% restrained. So each joint has, not only does it have mega lugs that pinch that particular fitting to the pipe, and the mega lug allows that fitting to be bolted to the flange of the 45 degrees. And it also, when we say 100% restrained, you see the threaded rod, nuts and bolts that tie each joint to, there's a friction clamp right there that ties that joint back to the pipe. Then it's between the two fittings, it's rotted all the way up through there, and then between this fitting all the way up to the next fitting, it's one continuous rod. So when we say 100% restraint system, that's what we're talking about. In this particular service, we added what we call a deadman, a thrust block, down at the end, just for a little added protection through here. Now on campus, we also bag all of our piping systems to help for corrosion, and you can see a plastic bag is just kind of coiled up, waiting to be covered once the system is completed. And finally, the last system that is not installed yet, there's one more pipe system that comes out, and that will be the fire main for the fire service that comes into this section right over here. So in a different view, looking from the north to south, again, there's the control conduits, the electrical conduits, the chilled water supply and return, the steam and condensate lines, and finally the domestic water and the fire will be installed shortly. So we have a great opportunity to go through the steam pipe assembly right through here. So as you see, this is actually what they call an expansion joint. There's a joint that's not made up in the middle here. And the expansion joint is an area for the system to expand and contract. So the piping system comes into big U similar to this. So we get a chance to see the steam pipe system is really a pipe in a pipe. So it's an outside jacket that we're looking at right here that protects the pipe, and then there's a steam pipe on the inside. Now the steam pipe actually rides inside the casing. So we'll take a little bit of a look at this weld over here. Actually it's a beautiful weld, it's very clean, and it was done with a TIG method, which is tungsten inert gas. So in order to weld, you need heat. When the heat is created, the electricity goes through a tungsten point, and then wire is added, and then the inert gas allows the welding process to happen without oxidation. Think of it as a candle. When a candle burns, there's a little soot that comes off, and stick welding is the same thing. On the outside of the stick is some flux to keep the oxidation down, but nothing is cleaner than the TIG method. So we'll go, as time goes on later on, and show you the process of the joint to be completed. There'll be a casing that gets welded on, and each time it's tested. The pipe is tested with a hydrostatic test. The casing is tested with air and soap, and we'll get a chance to take a quick look at. There's actually a leak detection system inside the casing, so that if there's ever a leak, sends a signal back to a home controller. So we're standing on the retaining wall close to Hillside Road. Today we had a geotechnical engineer on site, and we had some very enlightening news going forward. So presently the last utility on site is a storm drainage line that runs pretty much parallel to the retaining wall. We weren't sure of the materials under the retaining wall, whether shoring was going to be required, because the next phase of utilities coming up is actually, there's new steam lines just about in the location of the retaining wall, and then on the other side there's the existing outdated steam and condensate lines that need to be replaced. So all this is pertinent because the new footing of the new rec center comes just about in this location here, almost to the same edge as the stairway from the existing grad dorms. So the great news we found today that the soils underneath the retaining wall are fine. We can go ahead and pull the storm drainage out. We can begin to replace this material in here with good structural fill, and we'll be able to build the building unrelated to the demo of the retaining wall and the new utilities to come in. So that's the last, as I said, the last utility. So again, all the utilities have been removed from site except for this run in here, which is scheduled with this new information to be removed on Monday. And at that time, we're going to be going under a mass excavation. So this area had many utilities that have since been removed, and the soils are uncompatible for the structural requirements of the new building. So this week, coming up, the contractor is going to begin removing materials that don't belong, replacing them with structural fill in preparation for the new student rec center. Finally, for a project update, the Phase 1 utilities, the mass excavation, structural fill, and site stabilization will be completed this fall. Construction will start late spring next year, and the project is on target for completion in late spring/summer of 2019. We thank you for your interest in this UConn project update. Have a great day. Remember to subscribe to our UConn PAS channel. Once subscribed, on the left-hand side, manage subscriptions. To the right, the gearbox symbol, a check next to send me all notifications for this channel with the save. Now, anytime we add a project, update a project, you will receive an automatic email notification. We thank you for your interest in our UConn projects. Have a great day.